Is Donkey Kong Bananza worth $570? There has to be a name for that big, burly guy, small girl dynamic, right? There's a name for that kind of thing, right? It's not just a weird, like... But that's the new Donkey Kong Bananza, and we are going to try and figure out if it's in fact actually worth $570 to play. As a 90s baby, this song hits me with so much joy and pure nostalgia. I listen to the Donkey Kong soundtrack religiously. I use it as cleaning music, similar as a Hispanic mom uses Elvis Crespo to clean while they call you downstairs for absolutely no reason at all, just because they're cleaning and they wanted to make sure you were cleaning too, even though your room's been clean for the past 3 days. The Donkey Kong Country soundtrack was ahead of its time. Between the music, the level design, the rare look, Donkey Kong was ahead in the gaming industry in the 90s. So as we stepped into 3D gaming, we would get the first-person shooter Donkey Kong 64, which, if you look at the sales, it did very well. But if you look at the game critically, a lot of people didn't like it as much as the sales would have you believe. And as we keep rolling into the future of Donkey Kong games, we would go ahead and remove platforming altogether, and we would introduce the Donkey Kong bongos and the new game of the DDR style Donkey Konga, but the bongos. Donkey Konga. And when people didn't like Donkey Konga or Donkey Konga 2, we moved into an even stranger direction where we would use the same bongo controls to play Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, which was kind of cool. You just watch Donkey Kong throw hands as you bongoed out. That would be the last mainline Donkey Kong game in 2004. And 6 years later, we would finally get another Donkey Kong game and a return to form with Donkey Kong Country Returns. And right after that, we would get the second version of it, which is Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. But after 2014, Donkey Kong would go silent. We wouldn't see another Donkey Kong game for the next 11 years. But with the release of the new Switch 2, Nintendo would throw a curveball. We would get Donkey Kong Bananza, a brand new game for the Switch 2. When I started this video, I started talking about the 90s, and now we are in 2025. This would put me in what I would like to call elder gamer. And being an elder gamer, I have to make my gaming decisions pretty differently now because I'm an adult and I have a job and stuff. A lot of thought goes into what games I play, how I play them, how long I play them, and when I play them. Now, if you didn't notice, I mostly play Super Smash Bros. And there's a reason behind that, because I treat my gaming kind of like a 9-to-5 job. And if you look at the current US standard of wage according to Google, it's $18.27. Now, if I played Smash Bros at that $18.27 wage, that would put me at a grand total of $36.54 if I just play for 2 hours. RPG games, on the other hand, those take hours to beat and even longer to complete. 335 hours at $18.27 ends up being $6,120.45. You can buy a lot with that kind of money. And so, with Donkey Kong Bananza being announced, I knew I was going to sink hours into this game. The Donkey Kong Country series games are known for having a lot of hidden fun and being pretty challenging to complete. Back in the day, there was a rumor that if you beat Donkey Kong in under an hour without losing a single life, you would unlock the Cranky Kong Challenge. Now, this was something that was originally intended to be programmed into the games. The programmers just never got around to doing it. I knew Donkey Kong Bananza was going to be special. and I wanted to complete it at 100%. So what will be the price to play? Well, currently the Nintendo Switch is selling for $500, including the Mario Kart World, if you are smart enough to not spend $80. And you're gonna also need a copy of Donkey Kong Bananza, which is selling for $69.99, digital and physical. Explain that, Nintendo. Where's the discount for digital? And word around the interweb is that Nintendo's raising their prices for pretty much everything across the board. So as of right now, the total price to play Donkey Kong Bananza is $569.98. So is Donkey Kong Bananza going to be worth it? Donkey Kong Bananza takes place in the human world. I don't know how exactly to explain that, that's just how it is, and you're gonna have to deal with it. SL10, or Ingot Isle, is the highest playable stage in the Donkey Kong Bananza game. In the Donkey Kong Bananza story, Donkey Kong, he leaves his home of Kong Island in search of bananas, as he's always searching for bananas, and he becomes a miner and he's going digging for bananas. That's his adventure here in Donkey Kong Bananza. And as he's mining, he comes across a rock, Pauline. So the timeline for the games are all over the place. The only concrete thing that we know is that this game comes after the Donkey Kong Country series and before Mario Odyssey. And I'm calling this right now. We have Donkey Kong Country, DKC. We have Donkey Kong Bananza, DKB. The next game in the series is gonna be DKA. And I don't know what they're gonna call it, but it's gonna be DKA. Maybe they'll call it America and bring back the guns that they had in Donkey Kong 64. After Donkey Kong frees Pauline, the big bad of the game introduces himself, Void Kong and his Void Company. They are a mining company who are digging to the center of the earth. Their goal? To have a monopoly on bananas and digging. And as legend has it, if you dig to the center of the earth, you come across what's known as the Bananium Root. And using this Bananium Root, you can make a wish. And that is what Void and his Void Company are digging for. Now, Donkey Kong and Pauline want to stop Void and his Void Company, and that's a Donkey Kong Bananza story in short. Historically, Donkey Kong has been a 2D platforming game with a pretty decent difficulty curve. Now, Donkey Kong 64 was a 3D platformer that did very well in sales, but as far as the gaming portion of it goes, completionists and speedrunners would go ahead and say that the game is a collectathon, and possibly not worth your time in investing the hours to complete it. So for them to take another shot at a Donkey Kong 3D platformer was a big deal. And in my opinion, it paid off. The game and its mechanics are super simple. It's get from point A to point B by any means necessary, breaking everything within your path, because that's what you can do as Donkey Kong in this game. They introduced pretty cool and new mechanics for Donkey Kong in this game, like the ability to rip a chunk of rock out of the ground and use it to surf the land or extend your jumps. Now, aside from all the new mechanics, they introduced Pauline, and because of her singing ability, DK can go ahead and transform by making a beat on his chest to match Pauline's rhythm, and he transforms into a Bananza form. Now, he transforms into a couple of different variants. One of them is the Kong form, or Super Saiyan Donkey Kong, or Kongamis Supreme, Kongamis Prime, Super Kong works. So he transforms into Super Kong. Now, in my personal opinion, I believe that him transforming into Super Kong is paying homage to Donkey Kong Jungle Beats, because the whole form is kind of reminiscent of just like that crazy ape swinging and punching mechanic. You get to transform into Zebra. Now, Zebra is a pretty cool and unique form. The first time you see a zebra is actually in Donkey Kong Country Returns. You also see Ostrich. Ostrich is a really cool one that pays homage back to Donkey Kong Country, where you get to use Espresso, the ostrich. You also see a lot of references to the shoes that Espresso wore in that game. Then you get Elephant. In Donkey Kong Country 3, you had Ellie the elephant, who they have pretty similar abilities where they can suck water back out, but in this game, you can just suck the entire environment and make boulders to toss around, which is elephant-like. Snake. In Donkey Kong Country 2, you get Rattly the rattlesnake. That helps you bounce around in the game. So why not have a snake transformation similar to Rattly where you bounce around in this game? All these transformations help you get through the game. Now, you don't necessarily need these transformations to get through the game, but it does improve your odds of getting through and not spending hours stuck because you're trying to figure out how to do it without a transformation Don't do that. But there are special areas that are exclusive to the transformations, as well as some bonus stages that pay their respects to the old 2D platformer that are dedicated to feeding that nostalgia itch. All in all, this game's pretty fun. This specific Donkey Kong game has an issue that I have with the majority of newer generation games, which is the open world trap. Now, I won't say that Donkey Kong Bananza is necessarily open world, but you spend majority of your time just digging across the entirety of 16 sub layers. Newer games basically put just a lot of time wasting content. Now, I will say, in my opinion, the best stages this game has are the 3 2D platformers. They're callbacks to the old games, and they did such a good job on them. It's, in my opinion, the best part of the game, hands down, other than the ending. The ending's also right up there. I also think that they could have added a few older games and added a lot more 2D levels to this game. They could have used, they could have even done old school bonus stages with boss battles from older games. That would have been sick. I mean, this game is pretty repetitive, so having a boss battle over talking to Cranky 16 times and he tells you the same story over and over and over, I probably would have appreciated a boss battle. Now, as bad as all this sounds, the game does do something very well. They give you a lot of tools to help you complete the game. Now, earlier I mentioned fossils. What fossils are used for are buying outfits. Donkey Kong has pants and ties. Same thing with Pauline. Pauline's outfits are used to increase your Bonanza time, or one of the more completionist friendly ones is she gets a dress that helps you find records. Okay, so now we've reached the part of the video where I'm going to advise you, if somehow you've made it to my video that's months late, and you have still not played Donkey Kong Bananza, I recommend that you stop right now, give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and go play the game yourself. After this moment, pure spoilers, and I am not sorry. Now, originally from point A to point B, this game's very colorful, vibrant. When you talk to everyone, everyone's friendly. And when you get to sublayer 16, the dynamic of the game changes. It's dark, it's eerie, and probably some of the most beautiful scenes in this entire game come when you're riding the rails in sublayer 16. All this is leading up to what's for sure to be a incredible boss battle. Now, Donkey Kong boss battles are no different than any of the other games. All the bosses have a very repetitive and easy to follow pattern, and basically you hit the boss and you continue on. Each boss has a very unique kind of set of things you do, except till you get to King K. Rool, the true bad guy. Now, if your first introduction to King K. Rool was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, let me take you on a very brief history on this game. King K. Rool was the original bad guy from the Donkey Kong Country series. He had one goal and one goal only: steal all of the bananas. Why? He's pure evil, that's why. There's a huge backstory to King K and like why he's doing what he's doing, and he has a wife and the whole nine, but this video is pretty beefy already and I'm not gonna get that deep into it. For the most part, what you need to know is that he was in Donkey Kong Country 1, was defeated. He comes back as a pirate in Donkey Kong Country 2. He comes back in Donkey Kong Country 3 with a lab coat, calling himself King K. Roolenstein, and is defeated. Then he comes back in Donkey Kong 64. You box him, star KO him there. And since that, he's been missing. But now in Donkey Kong Bananza, we have a clear answer to why he's been missing. He got himself stuck looking for the Bananium root. Now, this section of the game is literally one of the best sections in just gaming history, in my opinion. This boss battle was amazing. It is so much fun. Now, mind you, you just got done beating Void Kong, and that boss battle was fun. But now you have to fight King K. Rool. And just when you think you actually beat him, just like in the old games, they run credits, and the credits all have K's in them. He wakes up, gets in his helicopter pack, chases right after you. This helicopter pack is a callback from King K. Roolenstein in Donkey Kong Country 3. It's crazy how the attention to detail these guys gave you. And now as you climb to the surface, you're on your second boss battle, and he's using Void Kong's technology to destroy the map, turning this into a Mario Party battle So you go from just smashing buttons to very strategically making sure you don't fall off the platform. And just as you reach the surface, he manages to turn the entirety of New Donk City into Kremlin City. And now as you start to hear more and more familiar noises as you're beating these bad guys up, you start to notice something. You have been fighting fossilized Kremlins this entire game. This entire game you've been fighting Kremlins, and as you finally make it through what I call Nostalgia City, King K is waiting for you in a boxing ring to do battle for the 3rd time. And this is when King K goes and transforms into King K, King of Rot, his most pure evil form. Just like in all the other games, Donkey Kong ends up landing the final blow and star KOing King K and sending him to hopefully what'll be Donkey Kong Bananza 2. And after all this, you finally get the ending credits with Pauline singing. And now you're hit with New Game Plus. Now that we're in New Game Plus territory, this, in my opinion, is probably where the gameplay shines the most. The main story beats in this section is Pauline is in search of a new muse, something to make her sing this new song that she wants to sing. So you revisit all of the elders that give you all the Bananza powers, and you complete one of their rehearsals. Now we've reached the final rehearsal, the hardest section of the game. A one-time run, no saves, no anything. It's just you and your skills to race to the finish. If you do manage to beat this entire section, you come across the very end where you get the classic "thank you for playing," and you finally get the true ending of the game, which is Pauline singing to a crowd of people. As you're going through all this, you might be thinking, is Donkey Kong Bananza worth completing at 100%? Well, what does 100% completion of this game look like? It is 1,000 bananas, 110 records, 696 fossils, the purchase of every single clothing and fur, a golden statue of Donkey Kong. If you've done all of this, you'll have a save file with 3 stars, but that's not full completion yet. Full completion is when you get red Donkey Kong shaped balloons. That is what you get for 100% completion of this game. So you might be thinking, is it worth it? Absolutely not. No. This game should not be completed. There's no rhyme or reason to. The one-time playthrough hits every single metric. The best parts of the game are beating it in the boss battle at the end. So now, all in all, do I think Donkey Kong Bananza is worth $570 to play? That's a big absolutely. It took me 90 plus hours to beat this game, and not just beat it, complete it. Now, if you've enjoyed this video and watched it all the way up until here, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be trying to do my best to create at least a once a month kind of longer video format that's similar to this. I'm working on it, and I don't plan on doing the new DLC that just came out. For some reason, if this video ends up getting over 100 likes, I will go ahead and buy the new DLC, but as it stands, I don't see myself playing. It's just more collecting for the sake of collecting, and let's be honest, that had to have been ready at launch. But yeah, I'm not gonna play it. But like I said, if this video ends up getting over 100 likes, I'll go ahead and buy it, and I will actually stream me trying to beat it, because that sounds frustrating. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching.